भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः
ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः
भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः
भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः
स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः
स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः
व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः
व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः
स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः
स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः
स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः
स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः
स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः
स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः
स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु
स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्ददातु
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
तदेतत् सत्यम्
तदेतत् सत्यम्
यथा सुदीप्तात्
यदा सुदीप्तात्
पावकात्
पावकात्
विस्फुलिङ्गाः
विस्फुलिङ्गाः
सहस्रशः प्रभवन्ते स्वरूपाः
सहस्रशः प्रभवन्ते स्वरूपाः
तथाक्षराद् द्विविधाः
तथाक्षराद्विविधाः
सौम्यभावाः
सौम्यभावाः
प्रजायन्ते तत्र चैवापि यन्ति So we were looking at this verse. So in this Dvitiya Mundakam, again the Shruti is talking about the Paravidya. So actually if you look back, this Tadetat Satyam was used in the second Khanda of the Prathama Mundaka also. There Tadetat Satyam, the Satyam really meant what? There it meant Karma Phala. So the word Satyam is used in different meanings in different contexts. When it is used relatively, it can be used for Karma Phala. Because Karma Phala will always fructify. Avashyam Bhavi, like that we say in Sanskritam. Definitely they will fructify either in this life or in some other life as a pleasant or unpleasant experience. So Karma Phala being something which will definitely fructify, it is called Satyam. Here Karma Phala is not meant. The last Khanda, the subject matter was Karma Phala, and Karma Phala was shown to be limited, correct, finite. And those who are going after Karma Phala were also criticized by the Shruti, you can say. So they were called Mudaha, Vimudaha, like that. So those who think Karma Phala is something to be ultimately gained, which is their end, which is moksha, those people are all deluded. That's what Shruti told us. In the process, all of us mumukshus should also gain certain vairagya towards Karma Phala. So that is the whole idea in that chapter. Now when it says Tad Etat Satyam, Tad means whatever was talked about. Okay. So for the one who is talking about something, so whatever they are going to talk about is that. But that also is this, because in their buddhi, in their mind, it is available as this, correct? Then only they can talk about it. So this expression tadetad is very unique to Sanskrit, you can say. That which is this, like that which is this, which I am going to talk about, is Satyam. So what is this Satyam in this case? Here it is the Brahma Vastu. Brahman itself is called Satyam here. That means this is something which is beyond time, beyond space. That is the Satyam we are talking about here, which never changes. Okay, Trikale api tishtati, like that. One definition of Satyam is given, correct? That which is there at all periods of time. So when we talk about all periods of time, particularly with reference to an effect, correct? For example, when we talk about the pot, when the pot was not there, Satya Vastu, clay, was there, correct? Clay was there when the pot was not there. Then pot is there, clay is there. Then you break the pot, pot is not there, still clay is there. So clay as clay is there in all periods of time with reference to pot. Is that clear? Similarly, if we take with respect to this entire world, this Srishti, this creation, okay, Srishti is there, Brahman is there. Srishti was not there before, okay. Even when there was no Srishti, it was a Pralaya had happened, everything has gone into a causal state. Still, Brahman was there. In fact, Chandogya Upanishad says, Sadeva Somya Idamagre Asi. The Sadvastu, Brahmavastu alone was there first, before the creation, before any Namarupa came out, before any manifestation of this universe. Brahmavastu was there, Sadvastu. Brahman as existence was there. Then from that Brahman alone, this whole creation came. That even in this Upanishad, it was talked about, correct? Brahman as the Karanam of everything. So the important thing we have to understand here is when we talk about this Karana Karya, Jagat is the Karya, Brahman is the Karanam. But Brahman, when it manifests or appears as this world, does not lose itself, correct? It does not change in any manner. Brahman is there as it is, okay? But still the world has appeared now. So when the world is there, Brahman is still there. When the world will not be there also, in the world again, it's a cycle, correct? Oh, for us it's a cycle. So universe will go back into a causal state. Even then Brahman is there. So with reference to this entire creation, with reference to even space-time, Brahman is always there. Before, now, after. In fact, it is beyond space and time. It is the Karanam of everything. So that is Satyam. Now the word Satyam is an interesting word because it is an ontological term. If we have to talk about our in Western philosophy, they talk about something called ontology. So ontology means study of realities. So here Satyam is a term which does not indicate a particular vastu. Okay, Anandi says he can't hear me. What about others?
I can hear.
Okay, maybe then it's
I can hear you. Yes.
I can hear you.
It's a particular network issue maybe for others. Okay, we'll continue. So I was talking about ontology. So ontology means it is actually about the study of reality. It's called ontology.
Jay,
Yeah.
we lost you actually. There was no audio for some time.
Maybe
No, that's not true. We all heard him. You had
really?
problem.
network problem, I think. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So when we talk about ontology, it is the study of realities. So the word Satyam here refers to the reality of Brahman, of course with reference to the world. The world is called Mithya. Mithya also is an ontological term. So anything which is Mithya does not exist by itself. It cannot exist independently. There is no independent existence for a Mithya Vastu. For example, any name and form like pot or a chain, a bangle, they don't exist independent of being clay or being gold. So gold is the real substance. Gold is the one which gives existence to your chain or bangle. Chain or bangle cannot exist by itself. It's only a name and form. So nama vacharambanam vikaro namadeyam ritika ityeva satyam. Like this, Chandogya Upanishad also talks about that all these things are only names. Vacharambanam means they are all only names. Of course, in names means names, forms, utility, everything is included in that. So names and forms only, but they don't have any reality in themselves. Whatever is real is only the clay. Mritika ityeva satyam. Like that, the word satya is used there also in an ontological term. It is an ontological term, meaning that Brahman alone is real. All other things are mithya. Mithya cannot be counted as second because they are of different orders of reality. So like your dream food cannot help you if you are hungry in waking, correct? So your waking hunger cannot be fulfilled by a dream food. Dream is of a different order of reality. You can have a whole feast in your dream, get up and still feel hungry. So similarly, in any number of mithya vastu cannot be counted as second with reference to Brahman, because Brahman alone is Satyam. Everything else is mithya. So that is the teaching here. So here when we say Tad Etat Satyam, this Brahman is Satyam, we can look at it as an ontological term, or we can also generally take it as whatever I am going to now tell you is true. It is the truth. It is Satyam. And what is told here, the same thing, because in keeping with the original question, which is like, by knowing which I will know everything else also, correct? I want to know everything. Is there anything by knowing which I will know everything? That is the question. To answer that, again Brahman is presented as the cause of everything. So here there is an analogy is given. Yatha sudiptat pavakat. Pavakat means fire. So fire is called pavakaha because it's a purifier also. It purifies everything. So fire is a purifier. Even if you want to purify gold, you can melt it with fire and purify it, correct? So one term for fire is pavakaha, pavakat. So from sudiptat pavakat means nicely burning, okay, full flame is there, and from that fire thousands of sparks can come, correct? Vispulingaha, sahasrashaha, prabhavante. So they all come. But the important thing here to note is all these sparks are sarupaha. Their rupa is similar to the fire itself. They are not any different from fire, in fact. Okay, so they are exactly the same as the fire. Whatever heat and light, these qualities are there in fire, correct? That's the nature of fire. The same nature is there even in a spark. But the only difference is fire means we say it is a big fire, correct? Big flame. Spark is a small thing. But essentially it is the same. The only difference is in upadhi. So in Sanskrit we have this term called upadhi. Okay. So upadhi means something which is there near something else, and shows that something else differently. Okay. So upa means near, being near, and then it shows that whatever. For example, we give this example of crystal and a flower. Okay. You have a crystal which is colorless normally, spatika. So you have spatika mala and all we are familiar with. So this crystal you take, and then if you put a flower behind it, hibiscus for example, which is a red flower, then the crystal also will appear as though it is red, correct? But in reality the crystal has not undergone any change. But because of the upadhi vishesha, because of the hibiscus which is there near, the crystal appears to be red. Similarly, any upadhi can be called a conditioning agent or whatever, adjunct, like this different terms are used in English. So something which is there near something else and makes it look different, correct, than what it is really, that is called upadhi. So here there is a upadhi beda between the fire which is in flames and the spark. Similarly, you can say there is a upadhi beda between a drop of water which is there in a glass, water which is there in a big lake, water which is there in ocean, but essentially they are all water, correct? So a chemist will say it is H2O, everything is H2O only. So water, wherever it is, in whichever form it is, essentially it is the same. Like that, that's what sarupaha. So whether you see it as a big flame or whether you see it as a small spark, there is no difference between the two. The difference is actually only in upadhi, it is not there in the swarupa. That is the main, in this analogy whatever we have to understand is that is the main thing. One more thing also we have to understand here is that this Brahman is self-revealing and it is self-existent. That's how it is taught to us. Brahman is not something which is different from us, which is sitting somewhere else. Okay, but Brahman and the individual beings are having the same rupa and they are one and the same. In fact, really, they are not something different. Like the fire and the spark are not really different, correct? They are all self-revealing, self-existent. So here, if the spark is, again, spark does not require any other light to reveal itself, correct? Spark reveals itself by its own light because spark also is bright. Similarly, the fire also of course doesn't require any other thing to reveal itself. It doesn't require another light. So they are all self-revealing. Like that, this Atma, this consciousness is self-revealing, but Brahman also is presented as having the same Rupa, which is self-revealing and self-existent. It's not anything different from us. That also is shown here. The only difference between the individual and the total is only in the Upadhi. So all the divisions which we see are Upadhi Krita. It is not, in reality there is no difference. That's what is shown here in this analogy. So explicitly what it says now, similar to this fire and spark, Tatha Aksharat, from this Akshara, this Aksharam Brahma, this imperishable Brahman, Vividhaha Bhavaha He Somya, hey dear, this Guru is addressing his Shishya as dear. Somya means a dear person. And he says, from this Akshara, Vividhaha Bhavaha Prajayante. So different beings are born. So when the different beings are talked about, they are also Sarupaha. Their Swarupa is the same as Brahman. They are not any different. The difference is there only with reference to the Upadhi. There is no real difference between Brahman and the different beings, right from Brahma to a grass. Because so many jivas are there. Of course, the consciousness, the sentiency varies from Brahmaji to different devas to human beings, then animals, plants, like that. Even like adholokas are all there then. Okay. So different lokas, different people are there, and even in this loka, different beings are there who have different levels of sentiency. So that sentiency and the individual consciousness which we see are really the what we have to say is they are the manifestation of the same one consciousness in the subtle bodies. Okay, so wherever there is a subtle body, wherever there is a sukshma sharira in Sanskritam, if you have to say that sukshma sharira, wherever it is, there the Chaitanyam manifests itself as sentiency. Okay, where there is no sukshma sharira like a rock, the consciousness does not seem to be manifest there. But a rock also is really nothing, it's not different from the consciousness, but only thing is it is not manifest for us. So within the world we see things as sentient and insentient, Chetana, Jada, all these differences are there. That is similar to even in our dream world, we have a mountain, correct? And we have a mountain lion also on the mountain. Or some people are climbing the mountain. They are climbing the mountain and there is a temple on top, let us say. They are all going to see the Ishvara in the temple in the dream. So even in the dream, if you take, the entire dream world is not different from the waker's consciousness. It is the waker's mind only. So that way if you see, everything is born out of the waker's mind, waker's consciousness. But still in the dream world we are seeing a Jada mountain, but people are climbing the mountain also, sentient beings, and they are going and they want to go to the temple on top, let us say. And they have different conceptions of Ishvara also, even in the dream. So like that, in this world also, we may see things differently. There are many beings, but all beings are nothing but that same Atma. So a Jnani sees himself in everyone. Okay. So even Bhagavan Krishna in the Gita says Sarva Bhutastam Atmanam. So I am there in every being. Aham Atma Gudakesha Sarva Bhutashaya Stitaha Aham Adischa Madhyancha Bhutanam Anta Evacha. Like that also he says. Aham Atma Gudakesha, I am the Atma. And I am there in all the bhutas. Sarva Bhutashaya Stitaha. So I am the Atma of all the beings. And I am their beginning. Aham Adischa Madhyancha. I am their middle also. Middle means when they are surviving, correct? When they are there. Beginning means before they were there, I was there. Aham Adischa Madhyamcha. When they are there, I am there. Okay. Bhutanam Anta Evacha. When they go back also, they come into me only, I am still there. So like this, there are verses are there. So the Sarvatma Bhava is talked about even for Jnanis. That is a point of Nididhyasana. So the ability to see oneself in everyone. Nobody is different from us. Everyone is having the same Atma. There is no two Atmas cannot be there. There is only one self-revealing, self-existing consciousness that itself appears as the many. And the many is only due to Upadhi. That is the important teaching. So here, like the flame is one Upadhi, spark Upadhi is different. From the standpoint of flame and spark, spark is very small. It is Jiva, you can say. Flame is Ishvara because spark itself came from the flame. But essentially they are the same. There is no difference. Their nature is fire only. Whether you have a flame or a spark, both are fire. They both have heat and light. There is no difference essentially. The difference is only in the way we look at it. Only in the Upadhi. Similarly, Ishvara has a Maya Upadhi. Ishvara Upadhi is the total. Jiva Upadhi is the individual Upadhi, whatever Sharira we have, correct? Whatever Sukshma Sharira we have, mind, intellect and all we have as Jiva, as an individual. But that individuality itself is not real. That is the teaching. We wrongly take ourselves to be the individual. We identify with the Upadhi and we have all problems. In reality, there is no problem. When you are sleeping, you don't have any problem. You may have 1,000 issues when you are awake. You go to sleep, there is nothing, correct? Even your individuality itself vanishes. So the individuality is not Satyam. It is something which comes and goes. The individuality itself is something which is coming during your waking time. In fact, in dream, it may even take some other form. And again, in waking, you have a certain continuity as this individual. Then in deep sleep, there is no individual. It is gone. So the individuality itself is Mithya. The Satyam is the one which is even cognizing this individuality whenever it rises and whenever it goes away. But whatever is the eternal witness which sees this individuality rise and which is also seeing the individuality merge back into the same Atma. That Atma is the reality, that is me, not the individual. So another analogy which is used in the Shastra, even Shankara talks about, is this Ghatakasha and Mahakasha. So you can say that the Ghatakasha is born, pot space is born. In reality, you cannot even only in our imagination and all we are dividing space, correct? Space is even in and through the pot, that clay, whatever is there, substance, space is there. You cannot really divide the space or anything. What we say is, okay, some Nagaratna ji is not able to hear me. What about others? No, it's going on cycle, I think.
Yeah, I am able to hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you too.
Okay, maybe she is having a problem. Okay, maybe you can just send her a message. She has sent a chat message saying she is not able to hear for the last 5 minutes. Okay, anyway, we'll make the recording available, hopefully. She can join again maybe, okay. So here, let us continue. What I was really telling you is, the Bheda is there only in Upadhi. But even the Upadhi really does not make any difference in the Vastu, understand that. Even in space, space is not affected by anything. We may be dividing the space as pot space, room space, whatever, outer space and all that. But in reality there is space. And when we say pot space is born, really the space is not born, correct? Only the Upadhi pot is born. So even before the pot space is born, space is there. Okay. But when the pot comes, also space is there. In and through the pot, in fact. And when the pot is destroyed also, the pot space as though merges back into the space, correct? So space is space. The differences which we see are purely upadhikrita. They are created by the upadhi. There is no real division in the space also actually. So even in the case of pot and space, you can say they are in the same level of reality at least. They are all empirically real. Okay. But in the case of Brahman and this world, they are not in the same level of reality also. So the upadhi, when we talk about, correct, upadhi is the one which is conditioning the vastu and making it appear as many. But that doesn't mean upadhi is a second thing along with Brahman. Understand that. They are in two levels of reality. From the standpoint of Brahman, there is no upadhi also. Brahman is Brahman, that's it. But from the standpoint of the world, we have to say Brahman is appearing as this world because of Upadhi. The Upadhi also is Mithya. It doesn't really count. So that is the thing which has to be understood. So here, that's what it says. Again here in this verse, the Brahman is presented as the Sarva Karana, the Karana of everything, that all the beings come from that same Brahman, all the conscious beings, and they go back into the same Brahman. Tatra Chaiva Apiyanti. They go back into the same Brahman. So that's how Brahman is presented here. Okay. So here when you see as though that this verse is looked at in isolation, some people are actually misrepresenting this analogy here, because they say that the Jiva is a spark, is separate from Brahman, which is a flame and all that. See, any analogy, if you stretch it, it will not represent whatever it is trying to reveal completely, correct? That's why it's an analogy. An analogy is only normally used to express a particular point. You cannot stretch it and then try to understand everything through that. So you cannot say that since the spark and the flame are different. Of course, the flame and spark are different and there is a space-time in between and all that. So that even Brahman and Jiva are all different. Like that you cannot say. Why? Because in the case of flame and spark, there is a space-time in between which shows the spark differently from the flame. But Brahman cannot be, and Brahman and Jiva do not have any space-time in between them. Understand that. Brahman transcends all space-time. There is no space-time. In fact, space-time are Brahman, but Brahman is not space-time, correct? It is the cause of everything. It is Satyam. Even space-time are only Mithya. So there cannot be any difference between Brahman and Jiva, who is talked about as having the same Swarupa. So all the differences are only in Upadhi. There is no real difference. That's what, in fact, in the next verse, the Upanishad actually goes and clarifies certain things. So it is presenting Brahman now as devoid of any difference, any change. Because here in this, after this particular verse, you may think that, oh, all the beings have come from Brahman. So Brahman has changed. It cannot be Akshara anymore. Like all the spark come out of fire and then they die. Fire also dies, I think. Flame also will die. So is Brahman like that? No. That's what we'll see in the next verse now. Divyo hyamurtaha.
Divyo hyamurtaha.
Purushaha sabhahyabhyantaro hyajaha.
Purushaha sabhahyabhyantaro hyajaha.
Aprano hyamanaha.
Aprano hyamanaha.
Shubhraha. Okay, aprano hyamanaha.
Aprano hyamanaha.
Shubhraha hyaksharat parataha paraha.
Shubhraha hi aksharat parataha paraha.
So here, this Brahman is talked about as Divyaha, Amurtaha, Purushaha. So the Brahman, previously Brahman was talked about as Aksharam. Okay, Aksharam is neuter gender, but here Purushaha is masculine gender. So subtly the Shruti has shifted the gender of the noun, which itself is an indication, okay, that because Purushaha has two vyutpattis, Purnatvat Purushaha. So when we talk about the infinite, Brahman, limitless, we have to say it is the whole, it is Purnaha, okay, it is fullness, okay, it doesn't lack anything. That is Purushaha, Purnatvat Purushaha. But that same Purushaha Puri Shayanat Purushaha, the one who is there in this fort, which is the body, one who is sleeping, one who stays in this fort, which is the body, which is the Jiva, correct? Dehi. Dehi is also Purushaha, Brahman also is Purushaha. The word Purusha is a beautiful word. So the same Aksharam Brahma is talked about as Purushaha here, and this Purushaha is Divyaha. Again, Divyaha means Jyotanavan, one who has illumination, correct? One who is bright. So Jyotanavan means the conscious being is called Divyaha, the one who is conscious, one who is self-revealing, self-existent, that is Divyaha. But another meaning also Shankaracharya gives here in the commentary. So Divyaha means Alaukikaha. Alaukikaha means that Laukikaha means something which is of the world, correct? So, but here Divyaha means it is divine or something which is not of this world or which transcends this space-time, we have to take again. So Divyaha means something which is transcending this space and time, which is the cause of space-time itself. It is Alaukikaha, it is not of the Loka, it is not of this world, but it is beyond this world, something that is called Divyaha. And why? Because it is Divyaha, Alaukikaha, it is also Amurtaha. So Amurtaha means formless. Okay, you cannot give any form to this Brahman. Only if you give a form, it will become perishable, correct? And it will also become limited. So something which has form is in space time. It will become perishable. It is also limited because it is limited within that form itself. So Brahman being everything cannot have a particular form. So it is Amurtaha. But that doesn't mean it is formless also. Even space is also formless, correct? But it is not like Brahman. Brahman is even the cause of space and time. Space, time and different concepts are also formless. But here when we say formless, it is only to negate that it does not have any form. But again you cannot say Brahman is formless. It is both form and formless, if you have to say in another way, correct? So Amurtaha, that which does not have any murta, any form. Purushaha, this whole, Purnatvat Purushaha, this fullness, which is Brahman. And how is it full? Because Sabahya Abhyantaraha. So it is both inside and outside. It is both internal and external. So it is like this space. In fact, the concept of internal external itself is only in space, but this Brahman is the cause of this space also. So that means it pervades space and it pervades everything else also along with the space. It is inside, it is outside. The whole concept of inside outside itself is in Brahman only, correct? It cannot be beyond Brahman. So that's why it is Sabahya Abhyantaraha. So whatever you think as inside, that is also Brahman. Whatever you think as outside, that is also pervaded by Brahman. So this is what we say all pervading. It's really all pervading. It does not, you cannot say anywhere that Brahman is not there. Okay. In fact, in Ishavasya Upanishad, it says very nicely that wherever your mind may run, wherever, but Brahman is already there. It will be beat whatever you can think of, that is also Brahman only. Wherever your mind goes, Brahman is already there. So like that, this Sabahya Abhyantaraha, it is everywhere. Okay, it is everywhere. The sparks and all came from this fire, like that all the beings came from Brahman. So still you have a doubt, correct? Then what happened to this Brahman really? Does it change? Did it become all this world and all that? No. Ajaha. It was never born. It is unborn. So there are two meanings for this. Even Shankaracharya says, Ajaha means what? one who is uncaste, one who does not have a caste is also ajaha, and also from whom nothing is born also is ajaha. Nothing came from this Brahman in reality. In reality, Brahman is ajaha. It itself was not born, and it does not give rise to anything else also. It does not worth anything. There is nothing which is born out of Brahman, and Brahman itself also is not born. So that is this ajaha. This word ajaha, again, in fact this word ajaha is used a lot in Mandukya Karika also by Gaudapada Acharya. So there also if you see, even the term ajaha is a relative term really, because we are talking about this ajaha and all with respect to this world. Because in the world we see many things are born, correct? One thing is born from another. A calf is born from the cow, let us say. Or even in our own body, certain things are growing. Your nails are growing, hair is growing, a horn is growing out of the cow. So if Brahman is not born out of anything else, is it actually born out of itself? Like that also a question may come. Like a horn is born out of a cow. Okay, horn also is cow really, but it is growing. No, nothing like that. Brahman is ajaha, means it is not caused by anything, and nothing grows out of it also. Nothing is born out of it. But all this word ajaha also is a relative term, because in the Mandukya Karika, if you talk about Paramarthika Drishti, even ajaha, it is not, you cannot even say it is ajaha, because only with reference to birth, death, etc., you call it is ajaha. But from its own standpoint, there is no birth also. So even you can't say it is ajaha also. Like that, Gaudapada Acharya says in the Mandukya Upanishad. But anyway, so here ajaha is used to convey a particular point, that Brahman does not change in any manner. It doesn't give rise to anything else. It itself is not born also from anything else. It is as it is. So that is the point here. That's what we call vivarta upadana. So when we say Brahman becomes this world, manifests as his world, it is only a virtual thing, correct? It's only an appearance. In reality, it doesn't change its nature or nothing happens. So only from the standpoint of the world we have to say Brahman is Sarva Karana. Otherwise, from its own standpoint, there is no Karya or Karana. So that is the point we have to understand. So further, in fact, Shruti is negating everything. So even in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the famous Neti Neti is there. Okay. So not this. Whatever you say as an object, is it Brahman, means no. Brahman is not any one object. Anything you can objectify, it is not Brahman. It can be even a galaxy, it can be this entire universe. However big you can objectify it, then it is not Brahman. Brahman is the vastu which gives reality, which is the existence of everything in fact. So in our normal language, we are using existence as an adjective. So we say existent pot, existent table, existent plate, whatever, existent tumbler. But in reality, it is the other way around. The nama rupa are the actual adjectives. Existence is the noun. It is the substance. It is the adhisthana. It is as it is. You have to say party existence, tably existence, woody existence, whatever. So it is the other way around it has to be, but of course language wise it may not sound pretty, I think. In Vyavahara it doesn't sound proper, but that's the reality. So existence is the noun, existence is, all other things are only nama rupa, it's all only names and forms. They don't really count. They don't have any reality. Even physicists understand this very easily, correct? How does this world come out of all these subatomic particles? At a particle level, it looks different. 99% is space. Then what do we call as solid? Is it really a solid? What is this solid? What is liquid? What is gas? All these different things in the macro world, whatever we see, it has no correlation in the micro world or in the quantum world. So things look very different there. So how did the quantum become this macro world? That is Maya, correct? That is the Maya, that is Ishvara Maya. So you can reduce everything to a few subatomic particles, but in the macro world it is still Vividaha, correct? They are all so many different things. You can't even count it, correct? So many are there, limitless things are there. But subatomic level, you can reduce it to a few particles maybe. Then how did it become like this? You can't give any explanation, correct? It's all only Maya. It's only some arrangement, maybe. Some explanation may be there. Physicists are trying to give something, I think. But still, that is the Maya we are talking about. So again, even there, all these things, where is the Pratishtha for all these particles? Where did they come from? So that's where consciousness has to be there. That's it. There is only one consciousness out of which this entire creation has come. So that's the only thing which makes sense. Anything else doesn't make any sense. So that's what here this Brahman is devoid of all the attributes and qualifications. Whatever you can think of as an object is not Brahman. Na neti neti. So here apranaha. So normally beings means individuals have prana, correct? We are all breathing. There is a prana is there. Prana is the life force. If there is no prana means body is dead. It's only a dead body. So prana is there. But does Brahman have prana? No. Brahman does not have prana also. So it's apranaha. So apranaha means, again, Shankaracharya analyzes everything very well. He says aputraha, devadattaha aputraha. Okay. Means there can be two meanings. There was a putra for Devadatta and that putra is there no more. Then also you can say aputraha. Or Devadatta never gave birth to any child. Then also is aputraha. So what meaning here? So you can't say Brahman had prana at one point in time and later now there is no prana for Brahman. Brahman has become dead. No, the meaning is not like that. Brahman never had any prana. That is the meaning. Like that Shankaracharya analyzes this also very nicely and he gives a meaning. Apranaha. Brahman doesn't have any. In fact, prana is Brahman. Brahman is not prana. That is the understanding we should have. Similarly, amanaha. It doesn't have any minds. There are no minds are required for Brahman. Brahman is there even without any minds. Mind may be having sentiency, correct? Okay, so in the mind, in the Sukshma Sharira only, the consciousness is manifest in the relative world when we say sentiency, insentiency and all that. But that is like the sun being reflected in water, correct? There may be n number of water bodies and sun may be reflected in all of them. But that doesn't mean anything. So here, Brahman does not have any mind also. So it doesn't have any prana. It does not have any minds. So whatever you can think of, because why all these things are told here? Because of our own wrong notions, correct? All these negative characteristics or lakshana are given for Brahman just to take away wrong notions about Brahman which we may have. Because people think Brahman means again having some whatever, sitting in some place, having some four arms, etc. They have their own favorite rupa for the Brahman and say that that Brahman alone, that person, whatever, that personal God is the ultimate. You have to go to that loka and all that. But that's not how the Shastra presents here. Brahman is not having any attributes. It's nirvikalpaha, okay, nirakaraha. It doesn't have any akara, any form. It does not have any vikalpa, any differences internally. Sajatiya, vijatiya, swagata bheda rahitaha. That's how the Shastra presents this Brahman. But that Brahman is yourself. Because anything you objectify is not you. So if you negate all that can be objectified, whatever is left out is you, correct? As the conscious being, and that being is Brahman. Brahman is not different from that. That is Brahman, and that is the teaching. That is you. So all your problems, Jivatvam is there. Why? Because you think you are the mind. You think you are the body. So you think you are the body and think I am dark, I am fat, I have gained 2 kgs from last week, and you are all worried about that. Or you think about your mind, oh, 10 years back I had lot of memory, now I am not able to memorize even Bhagavad Gita. All this you are worrying. So I am not good enough, I am stupid, I am intelligent. All these things, both superiority, inferiority, everything is there in mind. And you are identifying with that, I am so and so. So all these identifications are wrong. They are wrong identifications, wrong notions. Okay. So you have to get rid of all these wrong notions. That's why Shruti, out of its own kindness, it is talking about again and again all these different different words are used. So apranaha, amanaha means it is for you also. It's not only for Brahman. All these things apply for you. Okay, whatever I see, I am not. Whatever I objectify, I am not. That's a pretty straightforward thing, correct? So that is something to be contemplated and internalized. Okay, so if you can establish yourself in that knowledge, that's what is required. So whatever I see is not I. Whatever I objectify is not I. And I objectify pretty much everything. And all those things I am not. Okay. But I as Brahman, I am the Adhisthana for both the subject and object. I am everything in fact. That also you have to understand. So there is no second thing. So you are Shubhraha, you are the pure. And also this Brahman also is Shubhraha, you are also Shubhraha. Shubhraha means pure. Because nothing can stain Brahman. Even space cannot be stained. Then what to talk about Brahman? There is no mala in Brahman. Nothing can stain it really. And this Brahman, Aksharat Parataha Paraha. So here again the word Akshara is used differently. In this context, Brahman is called Aksharat Parataha Paraha. Okay. So the Akshara here is actually Maya, because this whole creation goes back into a causal state. That is the Avyakta or Maya. So that Avyakta Maya is also called Akshara, because that also has a Pravaha Nityatvam. Okay. So the Trigunatmika Prakriti or Maya is there always. Either it is there in a manifest form or it is in an unmanifest form. So that's what we saw even in the first chapter. We saw that, correct? That Yasya Jnanamayam Tapaha and all that. So Tapasa Chiyate Brahma. So from that Brahman then came all this whole creation and all that we saw. So here that Maya is called Akshara, And this Brahman is really beyond that also. It is the Adhisthana for that Maya also. Maya also is Mithya. So again, another misconception sometimes people have is Brahman plus Maya is Ishvara, is this world, cause of the world and all that. But this plus is not really a plus. There is no plus. Understand that. You cannot have a plus between two things which are in different orders of reality. Brahman is the Adhisthana for everything. It is Satyam. That's why it is the Satyam. It's the only Satya Vastu. Everything else is Mithya, including the Maya Upadhi. When we talk about Ishvara, holding Maya as a Upadhi. So Mayam to Prakritim Vidyat, Mayinam to Maheshwaram. Like this, there is a Upanishad Vakya also is there. Maya is the Prakriti or Maya which we talk about, the from which this whole world has come. The Avyakta. But that Mayinam, Mayi is the Ishvara, the one who is holding this Maya, wielding the Maya, you can say. It is his Shakti. So again, this Ishvara, Shakti, Maya, and all that are only from the standpoint of this world. Of course, to that Ishvara we pray with the grace of that Ishvara only. We are even studying this Shastra, all those things. But Brahman is the only Satyam. The reality of Ishvara is Brahman. Reality of you also is Brahman. It's one and the same. And you are really beyond all this name and forms in reality. That is our real nature. That is the limitless nature. That is our nature, in fact. So that's what is talked about here. Aksharat Parataha. So Parataha, Akshara also is called as Para here. Okay, because this entire Jagat goes back into that Avyakta, and again this come back, it becomes Vyakta from there only. Okay, so that way if you look at it, Akshara is called Para, but even that Parataha Paraha is Brahman. Is that clear? So Brahman is the Aksharam Brahma who is revealed by this Para Vidya. That Aksharam Brahma is beyond even that Maya. That Aksharam Brahma is the Adhishtanam of this Maya, which is the total Upadhi. Okay, the cause of this entire creation, you can say. And Brahman is beyond that. And that's what you have to understand. And that Brahman is not different from you. Brahman's nature and your nature as an individual being are one and the same. There is no difference. So that is the teaching here. It will continue now. We will see further. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam
Om Purnamadah Purnamidam
Purnamidam
Purnat Purnamudachyate
Purnat Purnamudachyate
Purnasya Purnamadaya
Purnasya Purnamadaya
Purnamevavashishyate
Purnamevavasishyate.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Harihi Om.
Harihi Om.